standing in the home I'd built looking into the eyes of my only son. He'd just presented me with two options like I was a disobedient employee. Option 1, become a live-in servant for his demanding fiancée. Option 2, pack my bags and disappear quietly without a fuss. He expected tears, expected begging. He saw an old woman, a burden to be managed. What he didn't see was the wolf. I smiled. I grabbed my suitcase, and I set in motion a plan that would teach him the most expensive lesson of his life. My name is Eleanor. For 23 years, the heartbeat of my world was a 3-bedroom, brick-faced house in a quiet suburb. It wasn't a mansion. The floors creaked in a specific symphony. The kitchen cabinets still held the faint ghost of thousands of family meals, and the backyard oak tree bore the carved initials of a little boy who believed he was a pirate. This house was my masterpiece. Not just because I kept it, but because I built it. Not with my own hands, but with the life insurance payout from my husband, Michael. When cancer took him, our son David was only 12. The world went gray. The money from Michael's policy was a cursed blessing. A pile of what now? I could have moved, invested, traveled. But I looked at David, his eyes holding a storm of grief. He couldn't articulate, and I knew. Stability was my only weapon. I poured every penny into paying off the mortgage on that house. It became our fortress, our shrine to the man we lost. Every cookie baked, every homework project supervised, every tear wiped on that living room couch. It was an act of preservation. I was the anchor, the quiet, constant force holding our shattered universe together. David grew. He went to college, got a good job in the city. I was so proud. The empty nest was lonely, but it was filled with the echoes of a good life. And then came Chloe. From the first dinner, I felt a chill. It wasn't anything she said, not directly. It was the way her eyes, sharp and assessing like a realtor's, scanned the living room. A slight, almost imperceptible frown at the worn but comfortable armchair Michael loved. She called our family photos clutter. She referred to my traditional cooking as heavy. David was enchanted. She was ambitious, polished, a force of nature, he said. To me, she felt like a glacier, beautiful, cold, and slowly erasing the landscape of my son's character. Their engagement was a whirlwind. Suddenly, every conversation was about the future. Their future. Which, I slowly realized, had a very specific blueprint that didn't include an independent mother-in-law. It started with suggestions. Wouldn't you be more comfortable in a senior community, Eleanor? They have activities. Then it became concerns. David worries about you in this big house all alone. The stairs are a liability. I felt it, the gentle, inexorable push towards the margins of my own life. The climax came on a Sunday. They were over for lunch. I'd made David's favorite pot roast, the recipe handed down from my own mother. Chloe picked at it, then set her fork down with a definitive clink. So, Eleanor, she began, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. But David and I have been doing some serious planning. The wedding, the honeymoon, and of course setting up our home. I smiled politely, my fork feeling heavy in my hand. But David was looking at his plate. We think, Chloe continued, her voice dripping with faux benevolence, there is a perfect solution for everyone. You should move in with us, into the in-law suite at the new house we're buying. My heart gave a foolish, hopeful leap. Maybe I'd misjudged her. Maybe this was an olive branch. Then she delivered the terms. It just makes so much sense, she chirped. You can help manage the household, the cooking, the cleaning, the daily errands. I have a very demanding career and David will be swamped. With you handling the domestic side, we can really focus on building our lives. It's a huge help, and you won't be alone. The air grew thick. She wasn't offering me a home. She was offering me a job, a position, chief cook and bottle washer, live-in help. And my salary? A roof over my head, the privilege of serving them. I looked at David, my boy, the man I'd raised. David, what do you think about this? He couldn't meet my gaze. He shifted in his chair, the same way he did as a kid caught in a lie. Mom, it's a really smart plan. Chloe's got it all figured out. You'd be a massive help, and we'd know you're safe. In that moment, I didn't just see my son. I saw a stranger, hollowed out and repurposed by this woman's will. The anchor of his childhood had become a piece of furniture to be usefully placed. They came back a week later, expecting my grateful acceptance. I'd spent 7 days in a fog of grief, cycling between heartbreak and a slow, simmering rage. I was in the kitchen, wiping the same counter for the 10th time when they arrived. No pleasantries this time. "Have you decided, Eleanor?" Chloe asked, her tone now crisp, businesslike. "We need to put an offer on the house, and the suite availability is a key factor." I took a deep breath. "I've decided. This is my home. I'm not leaving. And I'm not becoming your housekeeper." David's face darkened. The boy who used to cry when he skinned his knee was gone, replaced by this impatient Nan. "Mom, don't be selfish. This is for the best, for all of us." Selfish? The word hung in the air, toxic and wrong. "Yes, selfish," he snapped, his frustration boiling over. "You're clinging to the past. This is about my future, my family. You can either be a part of it on our terms, or you can just be in the way." Chloe placed a condescending hand on his arm. "David, darling, let's be clear." She turned her icy gaze to me. "Eleanor, here are your choices. You can move in with us, contribute meaningfully to our household, and have a place in our lives, or—" David finished, his voice flat and final. "Or you can leave. Quietly. Don't make a scene. Just pack your things and go. But if you choose that, understand you're choosing to be out of our lives." The silence was absolute. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the grandfather clock in the hall, the heartbeat of the home I'd protected for him. I looked from my son's resolute, entitled face to Chloe's smug, victorious expression. They had it all planned. The emotional manipulation, the threat of abandonment, the framing of servitude as a gift. They thought they had boxed me in. And that's when something inside me snapped, not into pieces but into a sharp, diamond-hard point of clarity. The grief evaporated. The rage cooled into a glacial, purposeful calm. A slow smile spread across my face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who has just seen the end of a very long game and knows they hold the winning card. "All right," I said, my voice eerily steady. David blinked, confused by my reaction. "All right, which one?" I didn't answer him. I simply turned, walked to the hall closet, and pulled out my old sturdy suitcase, the one I'd used when I traveled with Michael. I placed it on the floor with a soft thud. "I said, which one, Mom?" David's voice was edged with panic now. I looked at him, my smile never fading. "You said to grab my suitcase and leave quietly." I turned and walked towards the stairs to my bedroom. "So that's what I'm doing." I left them standing there, two architects of a doomed plan, as I went to pack. Upstairs, my hands didn't shake. I moved with efficiency I didn't know I possessed. I didn't pack sentiment. I packed essentials, documents, jewelry, a few photos. The feeling wasn't sadness. It was a terrifying, liberating sense of detachment. The cord was cut. The anchor was being hauled up, not to be dropped again. I could hear their muffled, confused voices downstairs. "What is she doing? Is she really leaving?" "Let her go, David. She's being dramatic. She'll call in a week." "Oh, Chloe, you poor foolish girl." You see, while I had been the heart of this home, I had also always been its brain. Michael and we'd been smart. The house was an irrevocable living trust. My name was the only name on it. After he died, I'd met with a lawyer to ensure David would be protected, but also to ensure I had absolute control. I had the power of sale, of transfer, of everything. David had never asked about the paperwork. He'd just assumed. They both had. They assumed the house was a future inheritance, an asset sitting in wait for their future. They never imagined it was a weapon I could wield. That night, in a modest but clean extended stay hotel, I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. I emailed my realtor, a sharp woman named Linda who'd been asking for years if I'd ever consider selling. The subject line was, "Time to sell, all cash, fast close, no frills." Then I called my lawyer. "Greg," I said, my voice calm. Initiate the full provisions of the trust. I'm selling the house, and I want you to draw up a new will. Every stock, every bond, every penny from the sale is to be bequeathed to the State Parks Conservancy and the local animal shelter. Remove David as a beneficiary entirely. The silence on the other end was profound. Eleanor, are you sure? This is extreme. I have never been more sure of anything in my life, Greg. He was given a choice between having a mother and having a servant. He chose neither, so now he gets neither. The revenge wasn't dramatic. That's administrative. It was quiet. It was decisive. Linda worked magic. The market was hot. We priced it to sell. I cleared out the house with a ruthless, almost surgical precision. I donated furniture, boxed up David's childhood mementos, and put them in storage, a single, coldly labeled unit he'd have to find on his own. I kept only what fit in my car. Within 3 weeks, we had a cash offer, well over asking. I signed the papers without a flicker of emotion. I never changed my number. I wanted to be reachable. I wanted to hear it. The calls started about a week after I'd left. David, day 1. Mom, this has gone on long enough. When are you coming back? Chloe's annoyed. David, day 5. Okay, fine. I'm sorry I yelled. Are you happy? Can we talk like adults? David, day 12. Mom, where are you? I drove by and there's a for sale sign in the yard. What is this? Some kind of stunt? I never answered. I let every call go to voicemail. His voice morphed from arrogant to annoyed to confused to the first tremors of genuine fear. Then, the day after the sale closed, the phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I knew the area code. It was from the title company's main line. I smiled, and for the first time I picked up. It wasn't the title company. It was David. His voice was raw, shredded with panic and a fury so deep it was vibrating. He must have called them, pretending to be me, and they'd patched him through or given him my number. Mom, what have you done? He screamed, the sound tinny and desperate through the phone. I just got a notice. A settlement statement. You sold the house? You sold our house? How could you? I held the phone slightly away from my ear, letting the tsunami of his betrayal wash past me. When he paused, gasping for breath, I spoke. My voice was calm, serene, the polar opposite of his chaos. Hello, David. I did. You can't do that. That's my house. That's my inheritance. That was Dad's house. He spluttered. No, David. I corrected him gently, like teaching a child a basic fact. It was my house, in my trust, paid for with my husband's life and my life's work. You made it abundantly clear it was no longer my home. You gave me an ultimatum. I chose leave. Leaving involves liquidating assets and moving on. But where are all our things? My stuff, the photos, the furniture? Donated, or in storage. You'll receive a unit number and a key in the mail. And you have 30 days to pay the rent or they auction it. The sound on the other end was a strangled sob of utter impotent rage. Then I heard Chloe's voice in the background, shrill and demanding. What is she saying? Let me talk to her. There was a scuffle. Chloe's voice came on, sharp and commanding, all pretense of sweetness gone. Eleanor, this childish tantrum ends now. You will reverse this sale immediately. That house is part of our financial planning. You are sabotaging your son's future. Do you have any idea what you've done? I actually chuckled. A soft, dry sound. I know exactly what I've done, Chloe. I've unsabotaged my future. You wanted me to have a role in your lives? You have it. I'm the lesson you both so desperately needed. The lesson that respect isn't demanded, it's earned. That family isn't a resource to be exploited, and that the quiet woman in the kitchen often holds the deed to everything. You money-grubbing old bitch, David shrieked, having grabbed the phone back. You're doing this for the money, after all I did for you. That was the final thread. My calm hardened into something absolute. What you did for me, David, I said, my voice dropping to a deadly whisper. You were my child. Loving you was my privilege, not a debt you incurred, and you have repaid that privilege with contempt. So here is my ultimatum, delivered as promised. I have left, quietly, and I am now and forever out of your lives. The money from my house will ensure my retirement is comfortable and generous to causes that don't see kindness as weakness. Do not contact me again. Your inheritance was the love and security I gave you for 23 years. You seem to have already spent it. I heard a wail, a primal, broken sound, but I didn't wait to identify if it was rage or grief. I ended the call. I blocked the number. I felt nothing. And then a wave of something immense. Not happiness, not triumph. Peace. The profound, unshakable peace of a woman who has finally, after a lifetime of being someone's daughter, someone's wife, someone's mother, chosen herself. We often think revenge is about noise, about confrontation, about rubbing their face in it. But sometimes the most powerful revenge is simply removing yourself from the equation entirely. It's taking back your power, your assets, your peace, and leaving the architects of your pain standing in the empty space they created. They thought they held all the cards: youth, a future, leverage over my love. They never considered that the foundation of their dream house was actually my property. Karma doesn't always need a grand scheme. Sometimes it just needs you to stop playing a rigged game, take your ball, and go build a whole new court somewhere else. If a story of quiet, devastating justice resonated with you, if you felt that cathartic release when Eleanor finally spoke her truth, then do me a favor, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments what's the most satisfying quiet revenge you've ever witnessed or imagined. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell.